Hello everyone and welcome to today's edition of the Mumbai Falcons Indian Sim Racing League in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India. Today we're at the 2007 edition of the Daytona International Speedway for the second round of Season 3. I'm Justin Prince alongside Mr. Director and Stunt Rob for what is expected to be an exciting round of competition. Before we get to today's racing points, I'd like to remind you that today's race as the title sponsor of the Mumbai Falcons Racing Limited. It is an Indian brand passionate about promoting motorsport in India. As mentioned, the series is also an association with Volkswagen Motorsport. They launched the Polo Cup in 2010, marking their entrance into Indian motorsport. The aim was to provide a platform for young drivers to begin racing and to display their skills on a national level. Since then, they have produced many race drivers who have progressed to race internationally. The organization continues to groom budding race talent into world-class drivers and recently won the Indian Touring Car Championship. After Polo, they went to the Bento Cup, then to the Amio Cup. Now they are going back to the polls for next season. Drivers getting ready for the second race of the campaign, the second round specifically, in the third and fourth races. After a wild one to start everything off at Okayama International Circuit. That was seen with a full round sweep by Amit Kuti, who was able to come away with the victory in both the opening race and the second race with the invert. First one wasn't without controversy, however. A 5-second time penalty was given to him in the race victory. It didn't affect the results though. That was after tire-to-tire contact on a move to the inside to take the race lead in race number 1. Race 2 seen bad luck for Sai Prithvi, where there was contact with a driver who had an incident in the middle of the same corner that affected the outcome of race number 1. That means today the interesting thing will be how drivers build momentum from that race, or how they end up trying to rebound in some of the cases. Let's talk a little bit about Daytona International Speedway, the venue for today's race. As you can see, drivers are on the apron. Drivers have been informed they are allowed to go down on that section in NASCAR 1 and 2 and NASCAR 3 and 4 today. It's a 12-turn circuit here at this road course, 3.56 miles the distance, and a lot of speed is a common practice at this racetrack, especially since the World Center of Racing, known for its speeds on the oval side. The slipstream could be a factor in NASCAR 3 and 4, especially heading to the front straightaway before they go into 1 and 2, before the dive into the infield, past turn 2, and heading into the International Horseshoe. Now, one of the tricky things, though, with the road course today, we're making sure traction is kept. Many drivers had bobbles and slides, such as this one, in this section throughout practice and warm-ups. Drivers have been informed to keep an eye on making sure they don't end up snapping loose on cold tires for the green flag today, and to bring the cars home undamaged. Right now, the drivers ranging for the 144s in qualifying to the 146s. Drivers have 4 solo qualifying laps, 10 total minutes to set their times. Remember, the second race of each and every round sees now a 12-rate driver invert for that specific race. So competitors wanting to make sure they get good track position for race number 1 this round. At the top of the board, Sai Prithvi is currently with 144.314, followed by Ankit Tiaji, I should rather say second, followed in third position by Summerwell, rounding up the top 5, Hadi and Kuti. Those drivers looking to try and keep their track position still with plenty of time to set the second, third, and fourth attempt. Now, of note, drivers have been informed as well, there is the chance of a safety car, but do not depend upon it, quote unquote. That is in case of trouble heading into turn number 1 or in any of the other sections. There have been practice procedures in that in previous test races in this series. There have been practice procedures in that in previous test races. 4 minutes to go in qualifying. Currently final on right now at the moment with Abdul Kadib. Currently, he's in 7th in qualifying at 1:45.531. Currently on his 3rd lap. Fastest time in practice was in the 1:44.9s. Currently on his 3rd lap. See if he's going to be able to bump his way up the board. Currently 1.2 seconds off the pole time at the moment. All while trying to keep up with the man at the top of the pylon in the 57, the Season 2 champion. Prithvi still with a 1:44.314. Should note that Kadib did not bump up his time. In fact, at an incident point and spun out on his final qualifying lap, will not be able to move up the board as a result. But one of the interesting parts of the 2007 edition of Daytona International Speedway, unlike the most current counterpart, is the amount of bumps, especially in the oval section and even in some cases in the infield section. Track had been resurfaced in the early 2010s. Of course, there was also the Daytona Rising project built around that time as well. So many of these drivers will have to deal with a lot of bumps and bangs around this racetrack today, including on the apron if they elect to do it, even more so on the banking in the oval here at Daytona. Falling on board with Somerville in the final 90-plus seconds of qualifying. Currently second on the board, his final lap attempt. One of the top drivers in practice. Raymond Somerville trying to move himself to the top of the board. Right now the pole is a 1:44.144. More than 150 miles an hour coming to the stripe. What will the time be for Somerville? A 1:44.877, not able to improve. That keeps him provisionally in second spot. A couple other drivers are slowing down, but the 46 is among some of the drivers looking to bump their way up from 3rd position to the top of the board. Grover also looking to bump his way up. 1:45 last time by. And Kuti has just bumped his way into the top 2 with a 1:44.284 on his final lap. Drivers in the closing seconds of the session. Final 10 seconds as Grover tries to battle the race car, heading through turn 5, heading off to turn number 6. As this qualifying session comes to a close. Drivers all set to go for the first race of today's action. Let's take a look at how they will start for today's action for race number 1 of round number 2. For the standing start, it is Sai Prithvi on the pole, then Kuti in second spot. Abdul Fatah looks to bounce back up and down around in the 3rd position. In the 4th position sees Tiaji. Rounding up the top 5, Somerville. Then Abdul Azim starts in the 6th position. Hadi starts in 7th, followed by Yadri in the 8th spot. Ruggs in 9th. Rounding the top 10 starting positions is Yadel. Rakib starts 11th. Kadib in 12th, Grover in 13th, Lama in 14th, Gupta in 15th. The rest of the drivers will line up in total. 21 drivers set qualifying times, 24 drivers made their way to the starting grid for today. Of note, Ahmed was noting potential pedal issues. He's the current 23rd place scored starter. He was hoping to speed in the next 10 minutes before the start of qualifying. To fix the potential issue, we'll see if he's able to make it on the racetrack in the 23 today. Everybody else getting all set to go for today's action for the standing start. Again, 20 minutes the distance for these drivers. Estimated 12 laps. All cars have made it to the grid, waiting for the lights to trigger. Marty the flagman waiting up at the top tower. Green flag is out, green lights are out, we're underway, and a bit of tire spin already to start. Kuti already up to the point, 2-3 wide, heading through turn 1 and 2. Prithvi dropping back to 4th position after massive spins. Fatah slams the wall hard from 3rd position, breaks his suspension. First tow, Gupta crashed from 15th. Everybody else made it through fairly cleanly among some of the drivers. Already up to the 2nd spot is Tiaji trying to hold on. Prithvi still falling on behind in the slipstream train. Slipstream, one of the major talking points at Daytona in the road course. The 46, one of the quickest cars in all of practice, was at the top of the board, and now he's spinning. Massive mistake, back wing broken off. Now that makes it a 2-car battle up for the front. Prithvi trying to find a way to get the slipstream, heading to the bus stop, one of the danger zones at this track. Thinks better of it, backs off the gas, heading to NASCAR 3 and 4. Coming to the end of the first lap, this time by already lots of slipstream coming on the apron. Sai wants his lead back using the banking. Forced to bobble around. Side by side, heading out to the stripe. First lap of the race goes to Kuti. Kuti with the preferred line, heading into turn number 1. Able to retake the lead, heading into the infield section. Gap between them and 3rd position already about a second plus. Summerwell currently holding on to the 3rd position. Hadi in 4th. Battle is side by side for 5th position as well between Root and Yadri. All while the leaders are trying to cycle their way forward. See what happens as Prithvi tries to close back on in. Gained a lot of speed in the slipstream. A lot of drivers had ups and downs in terms of using the slipstream to their advantage in practice. Slipstream a massive effect for the race right now. Instant time, 9:46 a.m. Track temperature at the moment as well. High amount of grip, 92 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 degrees is the air temp. As Root currently is in 6th position, 6 seconds back of the leader. Others are still shuffling around, and keep an eye on this interesting dynamic. One of the first times personally seen drivers battle using the apron and the banking here at Daytona. Drivers are allowed to go on that section today. So many drivers may poke their way, such as this again, to try and get a run. Nearly snapping around was Prithvi on the banking. Backing off the gas once again. Cars coming out of the pit lane who used one of their faster pairs. Passed by Grover, for example. They won't be a factor in this fight quite yet. Some of the other drivers moving their way forward. Already a plus 10 for the car on your screen and looking at battle for 8th position. That's Kozik, diving his way up the inside of the International Horseshoe, makes the pass work. He's one of your biggest movers of the race. He and 2 others, a +11, a +7 meanwhile for the 1, and there goes the positive gain. Kozik losing the spot right on back with a bobble. Now, drivers were discussing what was the fastest way around Daytona and how to get into the 144s. Some of the advice leaned towards practice, to others saying having the confidence to send it as hard as they can without locking up the tires. The latter point takes practice, though. Passes are all across the track, building up. Kozik getting a slipstream. Nearly makes tire-to-tire contact. Bit of a squeeze that time. Kozik Mohandrajan able to hold on to the spot for the time being. Some stellar battles around this racetrack. Still side by side for the race lead at the stripe. 3rd time already. 9 estimated laps to go. Already just past 5 minutes on the clock. Prithvi trying to find any way he can around QT. And he's in the grass, able to stick it, able to hold on, outbraking himself as the race leader. One car rejoining in Fatah in front of the leaders, forces the checkup. Retaking the point once again as QT. One of the more active battles across the racetrack. Already 170 plus kilometers an hour. Top 13 plus running on the left side of your screen at the moment. Separated in the top 10 by 19 seconds. Battle is also heating up as talked about for the 8th position. Kozik has had a couple drivers join that battle. We've also had this battle form up on your screen now for 12th position. Kadiv still trying to hold on to the spot. The car in train, though, is the 41. Fatah Dia, you have to give credit for what he was able to do in the 2nd race. Big hit on the bump, though, heading out of turn 6. Remember, in one of the races in round 1, demolished his car, had to make it his way around in essentially a 1960s open wheel car with no back wing, no front suspension. Some of the side pods knocked off the car as well. Kadib able to gain some time, though. A bit of the bobble you see in the backdrop. Side by side again for the race lead once more. And still, Prithvi cannot get the run he's been looking for. This time, trying to force his hand to the International Horseshoe. Diamonds the corner. Good run off the corner. Still poking his nose anywhere it can go. Heading off towards turn 4. Still not in a passing zone yet. Off to turn 5. He's trying everything he can to force a mistake. One of the most intense battles so far in the season. Still trying to set things up. And you see the difference in lines right there between those two and some of the cars we've seen. As mentioned, lots of bumps in the older surface right at the exit of turn 6. Keep an eye on these drivers. Where you see that orange box, you'll see there is a bit of a bump that ends up shuffling these cars right here. If you hit the bump wrong, it will shuffle your car out and potentially spin you around. We've seen that, remember, at one point in this race with the 46 from the 3rd position in the early going. This is currently the car in the 11th position you're now tracking on with. We talked about this. Alamed was able to get to the starting grid after having pedal issues, as talked about before the start of today's sessions. He's a +12 on the race. He is tied for the most positions gained. on the racetrack at the moment, with Divion Dudia at the moment. The other driver in plus 12 positions gains up at the front in 8th. Side by side for the race lead once more, though. Kuti again able to hold on in the back and forth affair. These are the two fastest cars in the race. 1:45.1s. Third positions in the 1:45.5s, 3.8 seconds back. Approaching halfway on the clock this time by. Kuti able to drive off once again into NASCAR 1 and 2. These drivers have fought hard every single race this season so far in both races 1 and 2. Fought hard in the season finale in season 2, continuing their battles today. They do have lap traffic just up the road, though. That could become a factor. One of the drivers who was in the top 10 at one point, Hatamish Yedri, ended up making a mistake in the second lap of the race. He is the next car in front. Slipstream now being given to the race leader. But here comes the run once again for the 57. Both cars forced to check up. Back staying inside the slipstream, electing not to peek out, in fact, this time at all. Bit of conservation here and plotting. It's talked about at this racetrack. For those watching for the first time, race at this circuit. There's some points where, and this is for heavy drafting class cars, where you want to be quote unquote in third or second rather than first coming to the final corner because of some of the moves we've seen in the first part of the race today. Lap traffic did let them on go nice and cleanly that time by. Position change, by the way, for P number 7 just took place after a mistake. Mahendrajan had a bit of oversteer out of the international horseshoe, moving on by was Dudion. Able to capitalize and gain a ton of time. Battle behind them is now forced for 8th position because of that specific mistake, with Kosik looking to move back one more spot. There's the spot there. Snap of oversteer. Drops the one machine back to 11th position as a result. Coming to 5 estimated laps to go this time by. Race leaders making their way through NASCAR 3 and 4 again up the road. And this time, move being made. Side by side back of the stripe. 244 kilometers an hour heading off to turn 1. Prithvi lets him go once again on the inside line. One of the smartest moves of the race today. Yes, you want to make the pass if you have the run. But drivers know the risk of going side by side in that corner, especially with the contact. If anything was to happen with those two, it'd be Somerville who would end up going up to the lead. He's 4 seconds in front of the next position in Hadi. Hadi has been nearly identical to the race leaders in pace, despite being on his own during much of this run today, by the way. Give a shout out to Rude as well. +4 from his qualifying spot. Holding on to the top 5, has been here in 5th and 6th much of the run. He does have one car closing in, though, who does have a bit of left front wing damage. You see it right there with the pushed up Hankook logo specifically. That is Azim trying to close on in the 35. Actually, it lost 2 tenths last time by to the back end of row. Just at the very tip, if any, of the slipstream, 1 second even. Really slippery run that time for the bus stop. Loses him an actual 2 more tenths on the racetrack. Dudia still pulling on away from Kozik in that battle we were talking about a bit for 8th position. He's gone back and forth in that part of the racetrack all day long as well. Kadib has also been holding on to the 9th position as well. And once again, holding on to the top 10, Dia still with a good run at 240 plus kilometers an hour, heading through NASCAR 3 and 4. Race leaders are still head to head, wheel to wheel. Prithvi having a stellar battle for this race lead today. Prithvi last season won 4 of the 5 total rounds. That was in a 1-race, 20-minute event. Remember, there is a second race today after this with the top 12 being inverted. That would mean currently Al-Ahmed is currently in that said position based on cycling. QT with the decent positioning at the moment. Samuel still holding on to 3rd position in the podium spot. But the 23, as we talked about, currently in that final invert position to put him at the head of the field. If anything was to happen, though, things could shuffle around. Kadib just had a mistake, for example, in the 88 machine to drop him to 11th position. For the race leaders, though, keeping an eye on them, coming in an estimated 3 laps to go. Defensive line from Kuti. Side by side, right at the rev limiter. 3 miles an hour quicker for the first time. Prithvi leads a lap. Is it going to be enough to complete a pass? This time he tries to make it work on the high side. Through turn 1, no. Still side by side, heading into turn 2. Clips the grass, tries the switchback. Massive slide, massive dive to the international horseshoe. Still can't make it stick. What a stellar battle. Roots had trouble, though, in the 5th position. He has crashed. No damage on that car. He's dropped to 7th position. Back going, did not get any wing or side pod damage. Kozik's now within range to move his way as high as 7th. Al-Ahmed has also had to pit from the 12th position. The top 11 have not had to come down for any sort of service today, so that is something to keep an eye on. Remember, a couple drivers haven't yet to use a fast repair due to incidents today. Of note as well, Dudia, now the biggest move of the race. He's the green car you've seen up the road in 7th spot. Check that 6th spot, just in front of how things have been shuffling around. See if it's a big enough buffer to hold on to the spot, especially with Rout and Kozik still fighting. That position swap back and forth after you see just a touch of it. A bit of oversteer. The common thread today on the bumps, especially going into the transition to the oval today. Lost Kozik that spot. Side by side for the race lead, coming to the final 2 laps, meanwhile heading back into the infield. Kuti and Prithvi still fighting hard. Samuel still keeping within range of these drivers, about 6 seconds back. Of note, Samuel currently one of just a couple drivers with an estimated 0 incident points on the race so far. This could be an exciting finish amongst these drivers. The way Prithvi has been setting things up, he's been wanting to be the slipstream car. Kuti has been holding on to the lead, wanting to play the defense car. Trouble for one of the top cars. This is Kodidia, who spun around. That moves Kozik up to 8th once more. The 41 drops to 10th as well. Check that 11th as a result of the spin. Now in 7th once go again is Root, and they have indeed reeled in Dudia within range to make a pass. Coming to the white flag, this time by under a minute to go on the clock. See how everything shapes out for the closing stages of this race. Leaders making their way to the front straightaway once more to take the white flag. They're side by side through the oval in the tri-oval. Once again, the 57 trying to make the high side work. It's going to come down to slipstream or come down to that major mistake. Previous just holding on though to the edge of the slipstream. Did that cost him the race is the question. The one mistake of the race, a bit of a slide going through turn 1 trying to keep up. Root meanwhile still trying to find a way to draft his way past Dudia. They now take the white flag. The 29 losing a lot of time last time by. 0.8 of a second was the difference between Root and Dudia. Root with a massive send on the brakes closes the gap to a car length and a half. Every point on the line here. Root again, sends it hard, sends it too hard into the grass, snaps it around, makes contact with Kozik. Kozik keeps going in the 24. Barely any damage appears on that car, but Dudia may be able to hold on to 6. Check that because Dudia snapped around. The leaders, though, making their way through the final section of the track. Kuti with a 1.4 second gap. Final gas for Priya V. It's not going to be enough. Make it 3 straight race victories in the first round and a half for Amit Kuti. Best finish of the season so far for the defending champion for Priya V. Summerwell comes home with the final podium spot. Hadif comes home in 4th. Azim in 5th position. And a crazy final lap behind them. Dudia coming home in 6th position by a decent margin over Kozik. Kadib, though, has been able to move up from 11th to P8 in the last lap after trouble involving Kadidia along once again with the 1 machine. You see right there some of the mistakes cycling around. Rakib able to get to 11th, 10th position. Mohan Raja rounding out the drivers for the invert for race number 1 of this round. Yadel 1 minute back of the leader. 13 total finish on the lead lap. Ahmed, the first driver out of the invert, will be the last driver to cross the stripe. Yadreep, Fatah, Grover, along with Cook Day, round out the top 17 drivers. Root, a DNF in 18th position. Gupta in 19th. Justin Singh with a quiet round in 20th. Everybody else did not make it to the stripe. 10 plus laps down in the race today. That involves the drivers such as Tiaji alongside Koranda. Lama also did not make the stripe. Also did not make the stripe was Kadrabad. Those are the drivers and how they stack up for race number 1 of round number 2. Everyone now will get the chance to regroup. Race number 2 coming up in just a little bit. We'll be back once more with coverage from the virtual Daytona International Speedway for the Mumbai Falcons ISRL in association with Volkswagen Motorsport India. Stick around.